This is a mini in-class project for Spanish 2 students called Crear un Anuncio, which means create an ad. It is meant to follow the unit where students have learned about stores around the city and how to give informal commands. This lesson meets the standards for modern language of interpreting authentic material and giving brief oral presentations. This lesson meets the technology standards of an empowered learner, digital citizen, knowledge constructor, and creative communicator. The following tools were used in this project. The first tool is It's Learning. This is our school's online learning management system, and here the students could access a Google Slides presentation which walked them through the project, as well as the Dropbox where they were to submit their final product. The second tool students used was just Google. They needed to search some images of places from our vocabulary list in the Spanish-speaking world and to see some authentic ads in print, like the ones they would be creating. This is an example of some for a shoe store. Students were allowed the choice of which presentational tool they would use to create their ad to present to the class. One choice was Piktochart, which creates really beautiful infographics using various templates. It ends up looking a lot like a PowerPoint slide. Students could use Google Slides, and this is an example I made for them on the Google Slides presentation that they used to follow the directions. And they could also use PowerPoint. Here is an example of an ad for an ice cream shop, and each ad had to include a preposition of location, a negative command, and 2 positive commands, which we had all been practicing. One pair asked if they could make an iMovie and make it more like a television ad commercial rather than a print ad, and I let them because I felt that went above and beyond the requirements. Others used Paint, Draw Island. I found out about tools I'd never even heard of, and this was the joy in letting students have choice on this project. We also used Today's Meet, which I'll discuss in just a minute. Here's just the part of the presentation that the students were following, and as you can see, differentiation is built into the process since they're able to work at their own pace and also to consult the support station, which was in the classroom for those who needed additional help with the vocabulary and grammar. The product was also a choice of which presentational tool they wanted to use, and I even left the option open to use paper and art materials and simply use CamScan or other app to scan the image and still submit electronically and be able to present via the whiteboard. But I felt this was a good option for those who, for one reason or another, may not be able to use technology. This was a checklist of completion that the students should work through in order to make sure they have all the components of the project before presenting. This was the rubric and how I would be evaluating their projects. I tried to leave comments as feedback here for each pair. During the presentations, we used Today's Meet, which is a back channel, and allowed the students to comment during the presentations. They really enjoyed this part the most, I think. Overall, the student response to this mini in-class project was fantastic. I was so impressed with their work, and I was very happy with the results and what they had done with the freedom that I gave them in choosing the tech tools. In the future, however, I would make sure I could reserve a computer lab or a laptop cart. Even with BYOT at our school, I found out that many students either didn't want to use their phones or they forgot to bring their laptops or iPads, and a lot of them preferred working on the desktops, which I did not have enough of, and I ended up having to send them to some other classrooms nearby. And fortunately, those teachers were gracious enough to let them use those computers. I would also walk them through the submissions for those who used Google Docs or Google Slides, because the shareable link feature seemed to be a little tricky for them. And in the Dropbox, once we got to presentations, if they wouldn't come up, that just took up valuable class time. Overall, though, the problems were minimal, and this was my favorite lesson that I've done this year.